Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Act like you don't know. It's the Remix Morning Show. We about to blow. Give you that breakfast show right here. In case you didn't know, I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. It's the Remix Morning Show. And let me introduce you to your host for today. We got no other than Burn It Down, Kim Brown.
Oh,
And coming up right here, right now, your boy, Kamal K. Franklin.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Oh, that was nice, Ear Doctor.
Hey,
I-
appreciate it.
I was hoping that freestyle would go a little longer. Give us a hot 16, not a quick 4.
You want a hot 16?
I do want a hot 16.
All right, here we go now. I'm just playing.
Uh-oh.
Yo, welcome out, y'all, to the Remix Morning Show.
That's fantastic. I'm over here getting ready. I'm like, yeah, Ear Doctor about to drop a hot 16 on us.
Y'all got to go to Patreon for that. Stop playing.
True. You Jay-Z.
That's
don't
what
get
I'm
it
gonna
for
start
free.
doing. Some hot freestyles in the Patreon. How about that?
Yo,
No, they don't get it for free.
Come on, they're not freestyles.
they not freestyles. No, they paid styles. Let's go.
What's good,
Yo.
y'all?
Good morning, everybody. It's the Remix Morning Show. What's up, remixers? What's up, Kamal? You looking
doing
nice
good.
and
Look,
glowy this morning?
Everything's working today. I got the lights on. I fixed my computer. I figured out what was wrong with it.
Wow.
In the process, look what I found. Old school. This is my beeper.
Whoa!
From back in the day.
Wow.
Back when you
I
used to
saved
sling
it.
that rock. Oh man.
That's
And
legendary.
my first cell phone.
Wow.
How do you still have these things?
I-
Look at that
'cause I used
joint.
He's a
I
hoarder.
used to keep it at my mama's house, and then when we packed everything up, it was just like in a drawer, and so I just kept it. So this was my first cell phone. You know
Yo,
what
it
I'm saying?
still look new. Like, hit
hit
me on the hip. Hit me on the hip later.
Damn. Or you had to find a payphone. You had
Yes.
to do all that. You know what I'm saying?
Looking like a doctor or a drug dealer. Either one.
Okay.
I see
The
you.
one.
Woo.
Beautiful, Kamal. That was a piece of nostalgia. What is the age of those things? What would you estimate? Because I'm guessing the pager had to have been mid 90s would be my guess.
Definitely.
Yeah, this has got to be. This has got to be like 30 years old. These things have got to be like 30. Yeah, they got to be. Well, this has got to be like maybe 25 years old because the pager was before. Yeah, these things are old.
That was like the first small phone after the big block cell phones.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Wow.
Which a couple. I mean, when I was in school, I was in college in the late 80s, and the first cell phone I ever seen was this huge. Somebody just standing out. I don't even know it was connected. You know what I'm saying? How people do. It was like they stand outside Baruch College. Do blah 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 blah, and it was like this big. You know what I'm saying? But everybody was impressed because, that was the beginning of like, what? I gotta go to a payphone? What?
Yeah.
Hope to get in touch with somebody.
Carrying a cube that's like 2 square feet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and a handle. It had a handle on it. You carried a junk.
And what was that phone that had the you would type in words and it had the flip screen?
The Motorola two-way pager.
The two-way pager. Man.
I had one of them. I definitely had one of them.
Yo, we done seen phones that had straight off the wall with the line, or what they call landlines now, to now. Yo, we have seen some things.
Yeah,
It's funny because
I remember that at one point, y'all may not be this old, but
you're right.
Like, if you was late for something, you just was late. You just got left. You know what I mean? Because there's no way.
Yeah.
You're going to make an appointment that you can get back in touch with people. So it was like there was just a time where it's like that ass better show up, relatively speaking, within a 20-minute window. Otherwise, you gone.
What about when you had to print maps out? Like and
Oh,
really
MapQuest. Yes.
and actually really be like, all right, you gotta turn at this line.
That was considered the height of technology back there. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because before that, people actually used maps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But do you guys know? I mean, maybe y'all do, and maybe I have this wrong, but like younger people don't know how to read a map, like a map, like a proper map. Like if the blue line doesn't tell them where to turn left and right, if you put a map down in front of them, they'd be like, "What's that? Where's that? What's that? What's that say?"
Shit, write them a contract in cursive and see.
Nigga.
They be
no, it's wild. Where was I? I must have been at the UPS somewhere, and I had to sign my name. And the young girl behind the counter was so impressed. She was like, "Your handwriting's so pretty," and I'm like, thanks, but they don't see cursive. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't even encounter it.
They don't teach it in school no more. They don't teach script.
No,
they don't do it. Oh,
no, I don't think so.
Again,
I think they teach keyboarding.
I'm gonna date myself a little. Junior high, I had a typewriting class.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You had to run a typewriter, a literal typewriter. Yep.
Oh, the ribbon. You had to change the ribbon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a while back. I remember typewriting class. No, I had it too. I had typewriting class.
Like whiteout. You had to use whiteout.
Whiteout. Yes.
Yeah. And your papers always look janky because it's just like what? You know what I mean? It's
all
like
these globs of white paint.
Exactly.
Like you're an artist, /author.
No, it's wild, especially when you talk about the two ways, your doctor. I can't remember having a conversation around that time, 2000, 01, 02, somewhere in there. And my friend was like, they're going to put like your camera, your phone, all that's going to be in one device. I'm like, why would I want that? Because my thinking was, well, if the one thing goes down, then I've lost everything. Right. But now they've got them so that, they're pretty reliable.
You want to see one of these young people really bug out? Buy something for $5.73 and give them a $20 bill. They will not know how to give you change unless they will not know how to do the change. They be like, I need help. I swear they cannot add and subtract for shit if it's not on that screen.
Well, we are becoming a cashless society pretty soon. It feels like it's almost the norm for people not to have cash anymore. And obviously your card or your phone. So soon it's not going to be, just a strong decrease in the amount of actual currency out there,
Mm-hmm. Damn.
We have to resist that, by the way. we have to resist going cashless because it's gonna.
So we lost that battle.
Yeah, that's that.
No. You carry cash with you still?
No, I don't. I do not carry cash.
I do,
but you a hustler.
But I mean, we were talking about that since the 90s. Cashless society, mark of the beast, carrying around a chip in your arm, but it's in your phone. I mean,
I think that's going to happen sooner or later. And I think I thought I heard something that there's people already volunteering to they do.
And nowhere else but Texas. It was some years ago they was going ahead and getting those chips put in for their job, so they could just walk in the building and.
Ew, you mean the RSID or whatever would they put it in their wrist or something? Just wave it up against the door to let them. What are you talking about? Like the chip?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
a real chip. Put it in your arm. It's wild, man.
Yeah, never that.
No, we don't want no cashless society because our people that rely on the underground economy, that is a cash that's a cash driven economy. I guess less so now with the Venmo and the Cash Apps, but maybe more so again since Venmo and Cash App and PayPal want to put limits and they're going to report, amounts over $600 to the IRS. Which
they are?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What, say that again.
So if you have sales, I suppose, and you accept cash payments via the Cash Apps, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, those institutions will begin sending you like 1099s because they are going to report that income to the IRS. Now, there may be some specific details here that I'm leaving out. Maybe you have to be actually selling something or exchange of goods and services or whatever. But no, they're going to start reporting that income to the IRS.
All right. For all my people hiring me to DJ, please pay in installments of $500.
Cash.
Cash preferred. They got a way, like you make deposits in the bank less than 10 G's.
ZZ Lion Dad, big up.
Yeah.
Peace,
So you make
Cece Lion.
deposits in the bank less than 10 G's, because if you put more than 10 G's in the bank, that would get reported. The bank would report it right away to Treasury. And so that was the way of tracking, big deposits, because of the expectation that if you're depositing big amounts of cash, obviously you are
Pause.
selling pizza. Selling pizza.
Pause right there. Stop right there.
That's too much info.
Oh no, you just had a word slip, like a nip slip.
What did I say?
Your Freudian slip.
Woo,
what a slip. What I can't even repeat it.
We'll let you rewind the tape.
I said if you deposit a big amount wide of cash, money. What did I say? Somebody got to type it in the chat. I really didn't say what you think I said.
No, you did.
If you type it in the chat, you got to edit it, because YouTube will hold a comment for review.
Really? What? Oh my God.
Oh my God.
I thought it was just me, ear doctor. The ear doctor started laughing. I said, okay, he heard it too. I said, oh.
I heard nothing that I said that was.
He said pushing large amounts of cock-a-doodle-doo.
I didn't. I said cash.
No, you didn't.
Oh my God.
Good morning. Good morning, remixers.
I did not.
Rewind the tape.
Cock.
Okay.
No, that time I said it, but I didn't. You can't.
Okay.
You can't say cock on YouTube.
Welcome out, everybody, to Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor. This is Kamal Cock Franklin. Burn it down, Kim Brown.
Ear Doctor, what time is it? Oh, we're a couple minutes away from the break, but y'all, thank you, Kamal. Thank you for that comic relief right there. We appreciate that.
I did not say that.
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna have to check there. I'm gonna have to check the room.
All right.
I don't believe y'all.
Okay. Anyway, I mean, I guess we might as well just go to the break, because that totally just.
I
don't even got to come back for that.
It's gonna be that kind of morning, everybody.
Yes, it is. Welcome to the Remix Morning Show. Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome out to the Remix Morning Show. I go by the name of the Ear Doctor, and this is Black Power Media. Thank you all for tuning in. Please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button, hit that share button, and also go to patreon.com and drop some change for Black Power Media so we can keep this train in motion. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about this still being the beautiful month of celebrating our women's history, and at the same time, 50 years of hip hop. So who do I want to talk about? Oh man, how I ain't not had this pulled up already? Because I was too busy talking to these beautiful hosts of mine. But with that said, I wanted to go ahead and pull up a certain hip hopstress artist, and she goes by the name of Here it is. Here it is. That's right. We talking about no other than Queen Pen. Talking about one-hit wonders. She also goes by the name of Lindsay Walters, straight out of Brooklyn. She looked like she's from Brooklyn too. All right, she's a rapper, record producer, and a novelist. That's right. She got discovered by Teddy Riley. Y'all know Teddy Riley from Guy. She was actually discovered at an IHOP at Virginia Beach by him, and she got put on the song, believe it or not, No Diggity. That's right. She did the vocals on No Diggity. Also, it wasn't put down in the credits and everything. You know how they do. But Riley also produced her debut album, My Melody, in 1997, and her second album, Conversations with a Queen, in 2001 with Kendar Massenberg. Now, he was known for putting out Erykah Badu and making her a big superstar and stuff like that. But yo, let me tell you real quick something about the sister right here. She actually was doing her thing, had some songs with Michelle Indegucello. Did I get that? Man, I'll be killing. She actually had a song that came out with Michelle, and it was called what was it? Girlfriend. And this was a song that explored same-sex relationships. So this was like one of the first was people was on like, oh wow. And then Foxy Brown came at her because Foxy Brown had beef with her and Queen Latifah. So she came at them saying like they was on some homosexuality, blase blah, and they had a beef. I mean, they even ran into each other a couple times on some fighting. Your boy Corrupt had to break it up one time. Noriega and Cameron had to break it up one time. But finally, they got together at a Russell Simmons Hip Hop Summit and squashed the beef. So that's a good thing. I'm glad that happened because we don't need no beef with the sisters, y'all. All right. And with that said, she released 2 novels. She also released 2 albums. So that's a little something about Queen Pen right there. With that said, that's enough of her. Now let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning crew. You know how we do it right here on the Remix Morning Show. Let's go. Yeah.
Big up to Queen Pen. That was a big hit she had with Mr. Cheeks, right? Down a bottle, honey. Down a whole bottle of Henny. Shorties in my I see plenty. But there's something about you. There seems something from something. Anyway, I can't say.
She never gets brought up when you talk about.
I never knew. Yeah,
sisters at MC.
And there's a lot of Queen Pen's from Chicago, and big up to all the Chicago rap chicks. The Brat, what's up to Shauna? You know what I'm saying?
Queen Pen's from Brooklyn.
I thought she was from Chicago.
Nah, didn't you hear me say she looked like she's from Brooklyn?
Nigga, what does look like you from Brooklyn mean? What does that even mean? Does Kamau look like he from Brooklyn?
Definitely not. until he says New York, then I'll be like, oh, okay.
But it's funny that you mentioned the hip hop summit. I mean, Russell Simmons used to have them hip hop summits. I went to a couple of them. The one I went to out in California, it was wild because Farrakhan spoke, right, and made everybody cry. Like everybody was weeping when the minister was up there. But then in the same time span, Suge Knight got up there and spoke. And Suge Knight was talking shit. I remember Goldie Loke from the 213 crew who was down with Snoop. Wow. Goldie Loke was there, and Suge was like, and Goldie Loke sitting there in the front row, all in my face. I was like, nigga, Farrakhan just spoke 20 minutes ago. Can y'all calm down? Y'all relax, Jesus. But no, yeah. So yeah, them hip hop summits were an interesting time for rap. Just put it that way.
I remember going to Jack the Rapper with my hip hop group back in the day. That was a big thing here.
Was that in Miami?
Nah, it was. Well, the one I went to was here in Atlanta.
Oh, so, okay, Atlanta. Got it.
Yes, sir. That's when your boy Sean Combs came out with those Big Mac, the Big Mac thing that was Biggie Smalls and Craig Mack, and he had the hamburger type thing, and it was called the Big Mac, and he was promoting both of them at once. Anyway, let me stop.
Interesting. See.
I don't know if Minister Server's in the chat, but then what's the hip hop summits? Were they different from the hip hop political summits, or those are the same things?
I want to say they were the same thing
because like Rosa Clemente was involved.
Like they'll have a panel on that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So that's what it is. Let me get out of here. I'll catch you on the next break.
Peace. Ear Doctor Kamau. Lovely to see you as always. Do you think we're ready to slap at that mapper?
The slap the map. Bam.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Remix Morning Show, broadcast exclusively here on Black Power Media, the most dangerous channel on YouTube. My name is Kim Brown. That's Kamau Franklin. Peace to the Ear Doctor, hooking us up in the back. Today is Wednesday, March the 15th. Kamau, happy daylight savings time. How are you faring with the new time adjustment? How are the kids adjusting?
I love daylight saving time because it gets brighter earlier.
Yes.
It gets darker later.
Yes.
I'm like, it's more outside time. It's more daylight time. So yeah, I'm a big fan. They should just make it like this always. I know it's a freaking wrong way to do the clock, but still. It's one of those things I'm like, because it wasn't the lie that it was because of farmers or something like that, but it turns out that's not true. They used to try to say they did it so there could be more time for farmers to, pick their
Harvest.
crop.
Yeah.
Harvest and shit. But I understand later on someone said that wasn't true, whatever.
Possibly. I mean, this was some Nixon shit, wasn't it? Daylight savings time. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make you spit your coffee, but
I just didn't expect it to be some Nixon shit.
I mean, anyway, it was some Nixon shit. But it's we. I mean, anyway, having to go out to the bus stop as a kid in the dark, I can assure you, it is less than fun, and it's probably not even that safe for the kids. I don't have too many opinions about daylight savings time. I agree. I like the earlier, brighter mornings and the longer later evenings, but I mean, whatever. I just think that capitalism just dictates so much to our it takes us off our human circadian rhythms, so we are up and functioning and expected to perform at hours that your body is not really expected to perform. When kids have to go to school and have to, like, their first class starts at 7:30, I'm really against that because I don't think it's fair to the kids that they should be up, expected to be awake and highly functional at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Their parents with jobs don't even have to be there till 9. How the kids got to be there at 7:30? So everything about the system come out, I disagree with, because I think it takes us further away from who we are, what our bodies are meant to do and perform, and etc.
And there has been studies that say exactly that same thing, that people are not waking kids up at that early time period to try to get them to go to school is not healthy in terms of their body rhythms and the rest of it. That is, it's like you said, it's a function of capitalism. If you get your kids to school early, they get you time to get to work at a certain time so that you can produce that product, whatever it is that you're doing to make your bosses rich. So
yeah, we need to abolish it all. We need to get rid of all the vestiges of capitalism that have our bodies in bondage, some sort of bondage. So there's that. But anyway,
I'm with you. Oh, you want to get to our first story?
Yeah, let's get to our first story. Can I just say this real quick? Your beard is looking really nice this morning. I don't know what you did.
Oh.
I don't know if it's more salt, less pepper. I don't know what's going on, but I mean, it looks good though. You feel me? Like Zaddy energy. Like, go ahead, Zaddy. Did the young girls call you Zaddy in Atlanta? You're like, oh, they're going.
No.
That's a lot.
I'm not out that much. I'm not out that much.
What they do behind your back, you just not aware of it, but that's fine.
They call them Unc.
Oh. Your doctor tried to demote you to Unc, and I had you all the way up here at Zaddy. Come on now.
I appreciate it. Burn it down. Burn it down. Your doctor jealous. He's jealous. I got more hair on my face than he does on his head. That's the problem.
Oh, Air Doc, you gonna let that ride, Chief? What's going on?
I'm just saying. All right, let's get to some news. Some fake. I mean, y'all mentioned Puffy, so I'm gonna start with some fake news, some fake Puffy news. At the beginning of this, and if you want to share me some stuff, Kim.
Yes, sir. I will have it to you.
You can email it to me, and I will be able to get that today because my computer's working. So as y'all might have heard, Puffy is joining Tyler Perry and Byron Allen for those who are interested in buying BET.
Really?
So the famous Black Entertainment Channel television, which at one point was Black owned, but then was sold to a big corporation.
Viacom.
Say it again.
Viacom. BET got sold to Viacom. What was that? Like 20 plus years ago, chat? Yeah. Like a long time ago now.
So it says he's now joining Atlanta media mogul Tyler Perry and the Weather Channel owner Byron Allen, who are looking to buy majority stake in BET Media Group. The group of TV networks also includes VH1 and BET Plus. Does anybody ever watch VH1 anymore? Like, why do these channels still exist?
Come on, we're not in the demo. We are no longer
in the know. Is VH1 and MTV still viable channels that people watch?
That people way younger than us watch. Yeah, they watch it. They still, I mean, I haven't watched MTV in a long time, but I mean, yeah, because they still run all those goofy reality shows. Like, again, the reality show genre, like it is massive. And VH1 was along that leading edge with the Flavor of Love and all that shit. You know what I mean? So I think people still watch VH1. I mean, I don't, but I ain't people. So.
It's a source close to Combs told Variety magazine that the record executive turned multi-industry entrepreneur is exploring the opportunity to purchase BET as a part of his strategy to build a Black-owned global media powerhouse. I thought, is he going to do that right after he buys Disney? I thought he was about to buy Disney for the culture, for the people.
I mean, what is Revolt TV? Isn't that a channel? Isn't that Diddy's?
I think that is Diddy's, yeah, but nobody watches that shit either. I'm just saying. Another source told the magazine that while Combs has expressed interest in acquiring BET, he is not yet considered to be in talks with Paramount to purchase a majority stake. And then I'll end with Combs has a long-standing relationship with Paramount Global dating back to his days with MTV. And it says Perry, who also has ties with the network, he is currently a minority stakeholder in the network and also helped launch BET Plus in 2019. And it says this history goes back to whatever. And it says Allen acquired the Black News Channel for $11 million, which joins the Weather Channel along with his digital outlets such as Local Now, HBCU Go, and the Griot. Allen Media Group has also invested over $1 billion in the last 3 years to acquire 27 ABC, NBC, CBS, and Fox affiliates, Variety reported.
Smart.
So, yeah, so they're buying it up. I don't think it means much for the larger community, but they are buying up and or attempting to buy BET so that we can now be responsible again fully for all the bad reality shows that do come on, which exploit Black culture and people and just have us fight at the end, because that's what entertainment is about. So
apparently, unfortunately, I don't know what kind of program offerings BET does. The only thing I know they do plenty of stuff, I'm sure, but the BET Awards, again, which I've never watched, but I don't know. I guess happy. Are we happy when we see Black folks being able to make the moves that white folks make? Is that a liberation? Or are we like the fact that we have, a 0.01% of Black Americans who are able to pool enough money together to buy a multi-million-dollar venture? Is that good? Is that something that
I think it's just a cheerleading thing. Like, it's not good for the vast majority. It makes no difference. It could mean maybe a couple of more jobs. So then let's put it that way. But
underpaid jobs in which they will pay women less.
And maybe it's a way for Black creatives who will have more access. So I think there's some little things that Black ownership can mean, but obviously it doesn't mean much in terms of a larger economy that spins around the Black community, that employs the majority or begins to do anything sufficient around Black control over economics. So it changes the media outlook of what gets presented, right? So it's not like we get these stations and all of a sudden there's a new way in which programming is done that sort of spotlights different things that are important to the larger community, and they're not capitalist mindsets. These folks just come in and then they just replace the white owners, and they're looking to do the same thing, like the same, things that Jared talks about all the time, is how do they bust out that profit? That's what they're interested in doing. How do we bust out that profit? How do we make those resources? And in the end, whatever they think, and sometimes the Black owners will go further, obviously, than the white owners will do, because they think they can get away with it. So a lot of times it's even more detrimental, because you can't claim overt white racism behind it, because it's Black folks who are putting this stuff on. So
I'm so proud of y'all for finding a positive in this. Speaking of positive, let me introduce y'all to Jackie Lugman.
Hey!
Jackie.
Hey!
I did sound like a traitor when I did say that. When I gave it a little bit of a good thing, and I did feel a little empty inside by saying that.
What is happening? What?
Byron Allen, Sean Combs, and who was the third one? Are vying to buy BET. Oh, Tyler Perry. How could I forget? Now I know, Jackie, I know that's got you very excited, because I know you're a big BET consumer. You have all the BET programming on your DVR, and you come home and watch hours and hours of BET upon your return home. How do you feel about this discussion, Jackie? These very wealthy Black men are about to buy a media entity. Yay!
Well, the thing about the article, real quick, was that it didn't even suggest that they were in deep negotiations. It was just kind of one of these things floating out there. It's almost like the NFL coach thing, where they just say, so-and-so is being interviewed to be a coach in the NFL, right, but then they never get hired. This article was really about someone has done a press release to say that these guys are interested in doing it. And so whether or not they do it, they buy it or not, their names just get in the news to say, like, hey, we're rich and we're famous and we are
Right.
looking to do this. And that alone, gives them some more cachet, I guess, or builds up the idea again that Black folks are full participants in the American economy at the same level as white billionaires. And so therefore, again, yay, we should be happy.
Yeah, and even if they actually do buy BET, what difference is that going to make in anything that working class and poor Black folks in particular, indigenous, for what do they get? Do we automatically get a dividend in BET stocks? Do I I don't see the benefit, the material benefit. I mean, maybe for some people it's a feel good story, like, oh yay, BET will be back under Black ownership. But if these people aren't gonna at the very least go back to serious intellectual content. When BET started, I remember all of the serious news and talk shows that BET had, and slowly but surely, one by one, they all fell to the wayside, because Robert Johnson was more interested in making a lot more money than he was in actually highlighting the issues and educating the community. So, I mean, he's a capitalist. So that's what capitalists do. So these people are also capitalists. So I don't expect anything beneficial from even if it does, they do follow through with it
But
and
when they
make
do buy it, if they do buy it, there's going to be a whole bunch of commercials about how we got to support
Mhm,
BET. And if we don't support BET and all that kind of stuff, they're going to ramp up the whole chart on that one and do
mhm,
that. Yeah, you're right. And then they'll be the first ones too to put like some white programming on there. They'll
yep,
put all this other stuff on there that is like as soon as they build their Black audience, they're going to do the traditional thing that the small networks do. They build up their networks off of like black shows, and as soon as they start like hitting bigger with the advertisements, then they're like, you know what we need? We need more of that white money, more of those white shows. Let's get that up on here.
mhm,
They'll
yep,
do the same thing. They'll
yep.
do the same
Eminem
thing.
Christmas special in some kind of weird.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the blueprint, the CW, the WB for those of a certain age. Like a lot of those, Jamie Foxx show began like all these lower budget Black programming shows jump started some of these smaller networks. So Fox in there with a living color and this, that, and the third. But can we disavow some mythology about working for Black capitalists, especially for our younger people?
Ooh,
You
Lord.
know, who are like, oh man, I would love the chance to work for Diddy. No, you wouldn't, because I don't think Diddy's a good boss. I know he's balling and flashy and this, that, and the third, and he could probably maybe take your career to the next, maybe, but he's gonna work you like a slave until you do, just like the white man, maybe worse than the white man.
It's probably worse than the white man because
Yeah,
they can get
way
away with it,
worse.
right? Because they'll say some shit.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, look at what was the I can't remember the name of the outlet, but it was a Black owned restaurant
BNC.
that was,
Sorry.
yeah, that was found to have not only been stealing their employees' wages, but were working them uh, illegal overtime, like forcing them to work overtime and not paying them. And it was just about, it's like, look, capitalism is rotten to the core. It just is. Black capitalism is not any different, and it's not any better. So if capitalists in general are a bunch of slave driving, wage stealing, union busting monsters, then guess what Black capitalists are? The exact same thing. They're no
Mhm.
There's no such thing as a good capitalist. Sorry, just not. And
I
by
think
the way, just because you might have a little bit of money, that does not mean you are a capitalist. You may be petty bourgeoisie, perhaps, probably farther from that than you
Mhm.
would like to believe, but yeah, you just because you want to make more money, that doesn't make you a capitalist. That makes you a wage slave, just like the rest of us. Who are, but you're just still in this delusion that you can make it in this system. You can't. You can't, because it's not designed for those of us on the bottom to make it anywhere past perhaps petty bourgeoisie status. For some people that's good enough.
mm,
Me, I just want to overturn the whole system and have socialism and have everybody just be able to live like human beings and not have these crazy conversations about who's buying a media outlet like that's supposed to be helpful to us. Jesus.
I think you were referring to Rick Ross and his
Yeah,
Wingstop
that's
franchises,
yes, that's what
who
it is.
was
Yes.
forcing his workers to work overtime without paying them, and I believe
Mhm,
also allegedly employing underage people and forcing them into some illegal child labor conditions. Yep.
mhm. Rick Ross, that balling. True.
Right.
Yeah, that's what working for a black capitalist.
Well, let's get back on some real capitalism. So I don't think we covered this story yet, but Silicon Valley Bank collapse.
Mhm.
And so 2018 bank law paved the way for the Silicon Valley Bank's collapse. Silicon Valley Bank was a test case for Congress's 2018 bipartisan banking deregulation law, and it failed. So quickly, as folks may have just heard, the bank Silicon Valley Bank has recently just collapsed, and then there was a little bit of a run on the bank, of course, because the insurance deposits cover a certain amount, but now the federal government has decided to cover the complete amount of deposits. And then another bank I think in New York area also just was closed.
Signature
Signature,
Bank.
yeah,
Mhm.
was recently closed down, and now the feds are worried about a run on banks, or just the possible fallout for the larger economy. And the thing that's paved the way for these two, Signature and Silicon, was the 2018 law that loosened some regulations for these mid-sized banks. And so, as the story says, the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank and other similarly sized banks in recent days has put a spotlight on 2018's bipartisan banking deregulation law, which was signed by then President Donald Trump. And it says we'll never know what might have happened if the law hadn't been enacted, but given that Silicon Valley Bank would have been subject to stricter oversight under the old rules, more regulation may have slowed or even prevented the panic that set in last week as depositors rushed to withdraw their funds. It says in the wake of the implosion, some Democrats and economists have begun to argue that the bank's failure and subsequent concerns about contagion in the financial sector actually are direct results of that law, which rolled back key parts of the 2010 Dodd-Frank Act aimed at preventing banks from making the kinds of big bets that led to the 2008 financial crisis. And it says, skip a little bit around. It says, notably, the 2018 law changed which banks are considered systemically important to regulators. It increased the threshold from institutions holding at least 50 billion in assets to those with 250 billion. That means only the largest banks face stricter regulation, including requirements to maintain certain levels of liquidity and capacity to absorb losses, comply with company and government-run stress testing, and submit a living will to prepare for potential failure. The banks themselves, and these banks themselves, what's also been noted is that these banks actually sponsored or supported looser regulation, which allowed them to take more risk as banks, not to have the oversight that they had. And again, these are some of the things that led to the recent bank collapse. And now, the searching for who to blame, everybody but the people who passed, again, both Democrats and Republicans, who passed the deregulation, allowing these mid-sized banks not to be regulated to the same extent that they once were, to stop the very thing that just happened.
Yeah, this is I admit that I don't entirely understand all of the details that led to these banks failing, but from the little bit I understand, just what you just mentioned, Kamau, about these banks wanting looser regulations. Well, see, this is why we have to regulate the market. This idea of the free market doesn't need to be regulated, and it corrects itself. That there is this invisible hand guiding the market to do what's right by the people. Once again, as in 2008, that has proven to be just bull. It's garbage. The market, it doesn't correct itself. It's not a sentient being. It doesn't have feelings or thoughts, and it doesn't care that the market doesn't care that people lose their investments, and the market doesn't care that these banks invest depositors money in risky ventures like cryptocurrency, which was one of the reasons one of the banks, not all of them, failed. But I really just feel like this is also another moment to throw back in the capitalist faces the kinds of things that they throw at us when we're poor. You know, when we don't have money for the basic necessities. Oh, well, if you wouldn't buy lunch every day, if you didn't buy a coffee every morning, maybe you could have some money. And well, maybe if these banks didn't, eat out so damn much, and if they didn't buy Starbucks every day, maybe they could have saved up a little bit of money and avoided their banks failing. Really, this is what capitalism does. It says that capitalism is good, so you don't need to regulate capitalism. And then capitalism goes and makes all these risky, or capitalists rather, go and make all of these risky investments to make more money. And then those risks, well, they show up. The downside of those risks happen. And then people get left out, unlike with the SNL failures in I guess that was the 70s, late 70s, early 80s. I think the federal government is doing the right thing this time in making depositors whole, giving them their money, because the government didn't do that in the savings and loan failure, in the savings and loan collapse, and it didn't do that in 2008. Remember, that was the big deal under Obama, that all these people lost, particularly their mortgages, lost their homes, and the government did pretty much nothing for them. So this time, I'm willing to give Biden a little bit of credit where it's due. He's actually doing the right thing here in making sure the depositors have access to and get their money. But these banks, these CEOs, and the people who push for fewer regulations in financial institutions, all of them need to be locked up. That's not going to happen, but I think it should.
The failure of these two banks is giving me big nostalgia, the wrong kind of nostalgia vibes from 2008, because I think that's how the whole financial crisis in '08 began, with bank failures, small bank failures. And then I think it spread to like Lehman Brothers. It got to like bigger institutions, and then it was all downhill from there. I have a feeling, though, that it's going to be a bit of an ironic twist as capitalism, as we're beginning to feel the opening tremors of capitalism beginning to take another tumble. The horrors of socialism vote that the Congress took is just going to be deliciously ironic as capitalism goes down again, and capitalism needs to be propped up again by the federal government. And it's like, I'm sorry, what are the horrors of socialism exactly? Because doesn't capitalism fail every 15 or so years? Yep, it's about due. It's about due.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular bank was, they're calling it a mid-sized bank, but it was the 16th largest bank in the country. And so that was what was considered mid-size in terms of its failure. So, and you're right, like a lot of it started to happen after the reports that the bank needed to raise more capital in terms of its liquidity or something. And that started people going to get their money, which caused the bank run, which caused the bank to basically fail. And these, they put out this sort of innocuous language around the troubles, but then obviously within that industry, the places like Moody's, which gives ratings to these banks, was like, oh, we know what you're saying. You're saying your bank is in trouble, and they downgraded it. And then that began the whole process. And what they're trying to do now is to tell all of us, wait, this is not another Lehman's. This is not another Lehman's. So they're constantly putting that out now so that people won't be sort of scared of what the possible outcomes are in terms of some of these other failures that may be heading down the line. So this is so like Jackie said, they rushed to shore up the deposits. They rushed in to close down Signature. And so they're trying to now take this careful look all of a sudden, always after the fact, if they had kept the regulations going in the first place and held those regulations hard, even as these banks are lobbying and putting their lobbyists down there to tell you, no, we don't need regulations. We got this. We know how to run our own industry. So and they do all that, and they grease the palms, and folks are like, oh, What if we just lowered the standards a little bit? What if we just lowered the standards down a little bit? Nothing's going to happen. These banks know what they're doing. And then time and time again, it shows that every time they start to deregulate, whether or not it's right away or not, but within the 15 to 20-year time span, the effects of those things start to be the same thing as always, which is these banks begin to fail. Because like you said, Jack, like these banks are here to, instead of being regulated so they don't take these huge risks, once the money's out there, then they start loaning to their friends, pals, what seems sexy, the making sure their stock options increase, the huge bonuses. They're no longer concerned about the balance sheet. They're concerned about how they can get as much money out to their fellow capitalists, which they probably have some other stock in. And the money they're giving out is our money, right? It's the money that we deposit in these banks in the first place. And so they start to act like it's the Wild West. And then the impact happens, and then it's the larger society that suffers because they still have their golden parachutes. They don't have the risk of going to jail or prison. And then they get the bailouts from the federal government. So they're like, it's all good. Even if it fails, we still win.
There's a confluence of too many negative things happening, though. I mean, I'm looking at these two banks failing. I mean, it had to have been serious because Biden addressed the country, 8 o'clock in the morning the other day, y'all. I mean, when the fuck does he do that? You know what I'm saying? He made it a point. He made it a point to address the nation before the markets open, right? Because just to show you how seriously that the president was taking this. But then I look around and I see these very high interest rates on mortgages. I see housing prices that are overinflated. And I'm like, again, are we about to do this again? Like people just got these new mortgages at 7.25% interest rate or maybe higher than that. Like, I just feel like as though this is the opening to something very bad and new, but still old happening again. And I have a feeling it's going to be our folks again that's going to be ass out of the situation. Just like in 08.
Well, I mean, that's exactly why we are always organizing. We, if you are paying attention, it's impossible not to notice all of these very bad issues happening all at the same time. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This really is how empires fall. Come on. This is to say that, the revolution is going to happen, at 6 o'clock tomorrow. No. It's that the unsustainability of the system is becoming so apparent to everyone. It's that they're not even hiding it anymore because they can't. They cannot hide how unsustainable and how just inhumane and ridiculous this system is, that it doesn't support 90%, 99% of the population, that it really does exist to extract resources and wealth from us up to the 1%. That is obvious and that is evident now. The question that I always have is like, so what y'all gonna do? What are y'all gonna do? What are we gonna do? I appreciate the comments from the folks in the chat who pointed out with these particular banks that over 90% of the depositors had $250,000 or more in these banks. So I take my credit back from Joe Biden, because clearly if that bank had been, if 90% of the depositors had been working class and poor folks, he wouldn't have had a press conference at 8 o'clock in the morning about that. Thank y'all for pointing that out. I think that's absolutely true. He had that press conference at 8 o'clock in the morning because the capitalists are terrified that we are approaching another Occupy Wall Street kind of moment, only bigger. I really do believe that what we are facing now, we're facing a confluence of Occupy, of that kind of sentiment, right? Of Occupy, of the uprisings in 2020, and a serious a confrontation that we need to have that is long overdue with white supremacy in this country. So I think the next few years are going to be pivotal for whatever this struggle is going to be. So y'all better make it count. Join an organization, get organized, do something.
Can you imagine the nurse that had to go wake Biden up to prepare him for an 8 o'clock news conference?
What you mean? Uncle Joe was up at 4:30.
Somebody had to go change that diaper. I was like, oh my God. That's a lot.
No, Mr.
You
Biden.
know,
No,
That's a lot.
it's not time for school. Come on.
Right.
oh,
It's not tapioca pudding time. No. We got to get you in front of the cameras. So, so before we go, we got time for one more story. I do have just for you, Jackie, a little international story. So,
Woo!
U.S. says Russian warplane hits American drone over Black Sea. So this story is making a lot of coverage. The Russian fighter jet struck the propeller of a U.S. surveillance drone over the Black Sea on Tuesday in what is termed here as a brazen violation of international law.
You know what?
Imagine America in the same month, the 20th anniversary of the invasion of Iraq. America talking about it's a blatant violation of international policy. If you don't set your fucking clan asses down,
I'm sorry, but what is a U.S. drone doing in the Black Sea? Why
The
is this
Black
a
Sea.
headline? Why does this headline not read, what the fuck is a U.S. drone doing in the Black Sea in the first
Yeah,
place?
exactly. Word.
Thank you, Jackie.
I'm sorry,
So
Val.
a Chinese balloon flies over the airspace that gets shot down, and that's considered a heroic event. But if you're spying on another country and they're like, look, you're supplying you're supplying weapons to a country we're at war with, and you want to continue to spy and point out where we're moving our military or our different military apparatuses, and you think we're just going to allow that? Whether Russia is trying to take complete responsibility for it or not, it's like, what do you think is going to what's going to happen? So it's just they live under this old theory that like everybody's just going to allow the United States because of its military dominance to do what it once did, and because again there's a multipolar world entering, and or the larger countries like a Russia and or China have reached the stage where they're more willing to challenge sort of Western intervention in their in the areas in which they exist, that more of this stuff is likely to happen. So really quickly, it says Russia insists its warplanes didn't hit the MQ-9 Reaper drone. Instead, it said the drone maneuvered sharply and crashed into the water following an encounter with Russian fighter jets that had been scrambled to intercept it near Crimea. The incident, which added to Russia-U.S. tensions over Moscow's war in Ukraine, appeared to be the first time since the height of the Cold War that a U.S. aircraft was brought down after an encounter with a Russian warplane. Says U.S. Joe Biden, wow, he's had a busy week. He was briefed on the incident by national security advisors. He added the U.S. State Department officials would be speaking directly to their Russian counterparts to express their concern about how dare you down our spy plane, which is obviously spying on you in waters that are right off your coast. State Department spokesman Ned Price called it brazen violation of international law. He said the U.S. summoned the Russian ambassador to protest. The U.S. European Command said two Russian Su-27 fighter jets intercepted the drone while it was operating within international airspace. It said one of the Russian fighters struck the propeller, causing U.S. forces to bring it down in international waters. And they claim the incident demonstrates a lack of competence in addition to being unsafe and unprofessional. So now there's just a lot of name calling. So yeah, they brought down this, this spy drone was brought down, and now there's a whole bunch of name calling back and forth.
Jacqueline, do you remember when was it a U.S. drone? Did it go down in Iran somewhere? I think this was during the Obama administration, and it was a big deal that Iran had this U.S. drone and was like, "No, nigga, we're not giving this shit back. Why was you flying this shit over our heads in the first goddamn place?" And Obama was like, "If you don't give us our drone back, it's going to be a problem." Anyway, I'm sorry.
I mean, this is par for the course. U.S. The spin doctors that because the issue, the article isn't focused on having people ask the question. the obvious question, why is the U.S. drone in the Black Sea in the first place? Which should lead people to ask, does the U.S. have military bases in that region? I think NATO does have a military installation in that region. So if it's a NATO installation, you might as well call it a U.S. installation. But remember, this conflict is not supposed to be between NATO and the US and Russia, right? So even if the US has a US military installation in that region, those forces are not supposed to be involved in this conflict, right? Yeah, see, that's why this corporate media in this country is so good at confusing people, because that should be the story. That should be drone from U.S. NATO military operation is erroneously deployed, outside of legal approval or whatever, even though the U.S. and NATO are not a party to this conflict. But they can't say that because they know that's a lie. That's a blatant lie. So this, to me, is, I think it should serve as an indication to people that this whole idea of, oh, this is between Ukraine and Russia. No, this is now, and it has been for a minute, a conflict between the US and NATO and Russia. At this point, they can't even hide it. They cannot hide their intentions of directly militarily engaging Russia now, because why else would you deploy a drone against Russian forces?
Yup, it was that Chinese balloon story that absolutely continued to prove the useful fecklessness of American media. Because my rational question would be, well, if this is something that China is flying over the US, what does the US fly over China? What kind of shit does the US fly over every other country around the world? Nobody asked that question. And trust me, we as Americans should be glad that it was China flying some shit over our heads, because were there was another country as bad-minded as the US and they were flying something over our heads, it would have been a Hellfire missile that would have accompanied that mysterious object flying over the United States. So I'm glad it was China flying some shit and not, somebody as bad as us. But yeah. No.
Well, and one of the other, you brought up the Iran story. And so when these drones usually go down, what happens if they are captured is countries get to reverse engineer. And that's the fear from the United States. So not only is it, twofold, it's kind of like, how dare you knock down our spy drone, which is obviously spying on you to collect information, because we are allowed to do that, but you're not, right? Any story about any spy drone or anything, all these countries spy on each other, right? They all spy on each other all the time. But if they catch a Russian or Chinese or it's Iran, whatever it is, except when Israel does it. When Israel does it, the media plays it down, of course. But if they catch some other nation spying on the United States, then it's looked upon as World War III, a lack of integrity. How dare you interfere in U.S. Either you come close to U.S. borders or waters. But when the United States gets busted doing it to somebody else, again, then it becomes, how dare you stop us from spying on you? How dare you stop us from doing what we have the natural right to do, which is to spy on you? And then I put up this map to show all the U.S. bases that are around, and it just happens to show where the U.S. bases are around China, Russia, and Iran, in terms of how close they are. And so that's why, when we talk about the United States, we're talking about a worldwide empire, an empire that has bases all across the globe to help maintain and Western dominance by checking these nations, or having the ability to check these nations right away through military intervention. Even if it's not direct military intervention, this is exactly how they're able to get weapons to their either other dictators or other nations that are friendly to the U.S. But this is how they're able to establish their sort of pipeline of control, because they surround the globe with these military bases that, again, if you challenge, how dare you challenge them?
And I just spoke at the International Women's Alliance first North American conference, or first conference in the Americas. a couple of weekends ago, and one of the presenters challenged the statistic that we use all the time about the U.S. having however many, my mind is blanking right now. I haven't had enough coffee.
800?
However many military bases around the world. And she challenged that because the Department of Defense publishes some in a report, in an annual report they do, the amount of property, the value of the property, and the number of acres of property. And they openly admit that they have over almost 5,000 types of property that they own around the world, that they have a value for it. And I'm going to have to find that I'm going to have to contact her and ask her for that information. Millions of acres around the world. Just so the idea that any other country is a threat to the United States is laughable. It is absolutely laughable. The United States government, through the Pentagon, has encircled, as you saw on the map, so many other countries, monitors the entire planet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The Department of Defense does this, monitors everything going on. There is no threat to this country that exists. This country is the threat to the rest of the world.
Well, speaking of somebody who's not a threat.
Is he though?
Well, maybe he is. I don't
Threat
know.
to the turntables. Threat to them other DJs.
Oh, that's a good one. Speaking of
Okay,
somebody
there
who
we go.
is a threat
All right.
to the turntables.
Teamwork make a dream work. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Kim. I appreciate that too. I appreciate that.
Honestly, I'm not worried about all these banks and all that stuff. My bank right here is doing just fine. And if you want to invest in it and be an angel investor, just call me at.
It's 2222222. I got an answer machine that can talk to you.
I'm just saying.
What's the compound interest on?
There's got to be some in between solution to the huge deregulated banks in your shoebox.
Just compound interest is you just send me money and it'll be an interesting thing to happen to it. You might get some back, you might not. It's a gamble.
Okay.
You know,
honesty in advertising.
Word. That's what it is. We're gonna take a quick break and come back with some more news right here on the Remix Morning Show. Oh yeah, let me take y'all back. Since we still talking about Women's History Month and we talking about some good music, who am I gonna talk about? No other than Ruth Brown. That's right, Ruth Brown. Let me give y'all a little bit of that in the background, Miss Ruth Brown. We talking Ruth Brown, Scorpio, born in November 17th, big up. She's a singer, songwriter, actress. She's referred to as the queen of R&B. She's noted for bringing that pop music to the R&B style. She pretty much put Atlantic Records on her back in the 1950s and came out with certain songs like So Long, Teardrops in My Eye, and Mama, He Treats Your Daughter Mean. That's right. She had to call him out. So with that, they say she built the whole Atlantic Records house. That was the house that Ruth built. All right, she also was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. She got Grammys and awards from her being on Broadway with her musical Black and Blue. I seen that musical a long time ago too. It also earned her a Tony Award and getting her Grammy awards all over the place. She got a Lifetime Achievement Award too. She got a lot of awards. Inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame also. And don't forget that her nephew is no other than the God, Rakim Allah. That's right. That is where he gets his jazz influence from, his aunt. Now, she pretty much jetted out of Virginia, ran away, and got married to Jimmy Brown, which was a trumpeter. And 17, she ran away, got married to him. Now, she's also responsible. And what does she do for the people? She had a fight for the musicians' rights and royalties in 1987 and led the founding of the Rhythm and Blues Foundation in 1988. And pretty much was like, yo, y'all got to pay us our money. And I'm talking about all of it. She stepped out of music for a little bit, but Red Fox, that's right. Red Fox, the one that said, you big dummy. He said, yo, come back into this music in 1975. So she came back in music and started doing some acting, did some acting jobs. Man, she's done it all. I'm talking about she has over 12 albums, so many awards, and she's been on TV. Big up to the sister. She actually had a transition in November 17, 2006. Complications with a heart attack, stroke, suffered from she suffered after surgery. So she made a transition at 78. So big up to no other than Ruth Brown. Thank you for your contribution to our people. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. All right. Yeah.
When I was just a little girl with long and silky curls, my mama told me.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that era of R&B. I love that era of R&B. And let this be a lesson to all them new age, light skinned whisper R&B bitches who cannot really sing. Let you take a good look at Ruth Brown, Etta James, Sugar Pie DeSanto, the light skins with vocals, man. The rest of y'all little cute whisper bitches need to take a lesson from them vintage R&B light skins, because them gals could hang.
Whisper R&B.
Bitches.
Sorry,
this is Women's History Month, Kim. Them as bitches.
Yes, yes. Let's do a history lesson to them whisper bitches these days. Like, no. If you're gonna be light skinned, at least sing. Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? Come with some strength in your larynx.
Whispering song all around, men, women. Just sing or shut up. Sing, rap, or shut up. That's it.
Man, can you imagine seeing them live? I mean, you're talking about a good show. I that's what I miss about performance. Seeing live performance takes me back to like, okay, I love music. Man.
Yes.
Yeah, that was spotlight. Thank you for that. That was nice.
Great.
No problem. And thank you, Ruth Brown, for giving that musical love and sense to Rakim, because it helped in our whole generation. You know what I'm saying? So big up.
That's your nephew. Nice. Rakim is your nephew. Oh, that's my God.
I did not know that. That is pretty amazing.
Hey, well, that's what I'm here for. All right, I'll catch y'all the next break.
Peace. Thank you, Air Doctor. Thank you, guys. It's the Remix Morning Show, Black Power Media, everybody, remixers. Thank you guys so much for showing up and showing out for us today in the chat. Please don't forget to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, take a moment to do so. And don't forget, we need that material support. Don't make me send Kamak after you, because, Kamau understands that we coming up on that 15th check, or we about there on Friday. So y'all know Kamau going to be looking for his money. So help us out via Cash App, $ Black Power Media. You can support us via Patreon, patreon.com/Black Power Media, or you can run us some super chats. Now, YouTube, the big pimp that they are they going to take a cut of that? But we still appreciate any type of material support that you guys can send us. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I want to shout out all of my comrades who are preparing for March 18th, this Saturday. Everybody who is planning to come to DC for the 20th anniversary commemoration of the war in Iraq. And I think that I've been thinking about this for a while. And I think that we organizers, the activists, whatever you want to call us, I think we kind of took the wrong lessons from that, the way we were able to, get millions of people out in the streets to oppose the Iraq war. And it was global. It wasn't just in the United States. And I think, because I've heard people over the years say so many times, oh, we failed because we couldn't stop the war in Iraq. I don't look at it that way. I believe that the Iraq war happened not because we failed. The Iraq war happened because this system is just that evil, that it hates us all just that much, that millions of people mobilized in the streets around the world in all these different countries demanding not to engage in this war, and these murderous bastards did it anyway. That should have been the lesson we took, I think, from the response to those massive mobilizations by these respective countries' governments. Not that we, the people, failed, but that's how much the people who run the governments in our countries hate us. And that should have been, I think, what continued to fuel the anti-imperialist movement. But I think we got demoralized and we're like, oh, we failed, and we see what happened to the anti-imperialist movement. It fell apart. So we need to get back to that point of outrage at the governments in our countries using people's money for war instead of funding people's needs. So on March 18th, we will be out in the streets, as we have been, to some degree, for a whole lot of different other reasons, to continue this fight against imperialism. So tomorrow, I'm going to have Claudia de la Cruz from the People's Forum on to talk more about the March 18th demonstration here in Washington, D.C. And look, if you are concerned about all of these conflating issues going on in this country and what they mean for the rest of the world, you need to make your way to Washington, D.C. On Saturday. And if you can't get here, then do something where you are. But tomorrow, Claudia is going to come and talk to us about it.
And I don't know, Jackie, if you were going to put up anything, but I put up the story about this being the 20th anniversary of the war. So just to talk a little bit more in depth, this AP article just says why U.S. troops remain in Iraq 20 years after shock and awe. And of course, they don't necessarily come to the conclusion that it's imperialism, but we understand that. But 20 years after the U.S. invaded Iraq, in blinding explosions of shock and awe, American forces remain in the country and what has become a small but consistent presence, in their words, to ensure an ongoing relationship with a key military and diplomatic partner in the Middle East, i.e. you can be to continue on with imperialism and control of economic resources and dominance over land and structures. It says that roughly 2,500 U.S. troops are scattered around the country, largely in military installations in Baghdad and in the north. And while it is a far cry from the more than 170,000 U.S. forces in Iraq at the peak of the war in 2007, according to U.S. officials, say the limited but continued troop level is, in their words, critical as a show of commitment to the region. Again, read imperialism. And real quickly, it says the U.S. invaded Iraq in March 2003, and what is called a massive shock and awe bombing campaign that lit up the skies. And so they don't talk about the fact here that it's not just a sky show, but these are bombs that are landing in cities, on buildings, on people's heads, murdering people in Iraq. That lit up the skies, laid waste to large sections of the country, and paved the way for the American ground troops to converge on Baghdad. The invasion was based on what turned out to be faulty claims. Anybody with a brain knew at the time they were faulty, but the corporate media decided to push forward those claims and to create a sort of engine that allowed this war to take place. The invasion was based on what turned out to be faulty claims that Saddam Hussein had secretly stashed weapons of mass destruction. Such weapons never materialized, and/or such weapons never existed. Saddam was toppled from power, and America's war shifted the country's governing base from the minority Arab Sunnis to majority Shiites, with Kurds planning their own autonomous region. While many Iraqis welcomed Saddam's ouster, they were disappointed when the government failed to restore basic services. Is that what they were disappointed at?
Thank you. Oh my God. Thank you for pointing that out, Kamal. Jesus.
Lord.
You can say what you want about Saddam Hussein. The nigga had the fucking electricity on. He had the water running. He had the schools operating. Like what?
And look, let's be clear. this whole bullshit that the U.S. empire spins about, these despotic leaders that the people hate so much. Look, the people in Iraq may not have, loved Saddam Hussein as a human being. That's for them to argue. But what he did was ensure stability in the region. He kept the warring factions from being at each other's throats. And for the people of Iraq, he made sure that they had housing, food, electricity, water, education.
Healthcare,
So
everything.
So all this garbage. I remember Abdus, I think, telling me about, this is not about Saddam Hussein, but this is about Muammar Gaddafi. And Abdus did some time, and he said he met a brother inside from Libya. And he said, of all the African people, I have never met anybody from Libya. And he said the brother told him, well, you know why? Because Muammar Gaddafi, I mean, he makes sure he provides everything we need. Libyans never had to go anywhere. We never had to travel the world in pursuit of, higher education or a better living standard or, safer this or, and, he began to tell Abdus all the ways that Gaddafi took care of the people. Like when people got married, they got a stipend from the government to help them start a family. When they had a baby, they got a chunk of money. If they were able to get housing, everybody had jobs. So it was not that when we when we believe the propaganda, not listen to, because we're all inundated with this imperialist propaganda, but when we believe the propaganda, when we continue to trust the same government that has lied and has murdered and has pillaged as much as this government has, that we know of, when just what they've done in this country, why would we continue to believe those people about what this government does in other countries? Even if we don't really deeply understand foreign policy and what really goes on in other people's countries, just the fact that that this government lies all of the time, and the things that they have done to our people, indigenous people, First Nations and Hawaiians, and that track record alone should disqualify these people from being able to tell y'all anything about what they doing to other people around the world. So I always tell people that when they're reading these corporate media sources about foreign policy, you might not be able to get the details about what the lie is from the beginning, but my advice is whatever person or entity the US government says is evil, the exact opposite is probably true.
Yeah. And I don't want to conflate Gaddafi and Saddam.
Sure.
Saddam was a dictator, and Saddam was the US's dictator up until he wasn't.
They liked
right?
him until they didn't.
Yes, they liked him until they did. They supported him. They supported him when he dropped chemical weapons on Iran. They gave him weapons. They built his platform. They kept him in power. And when he overstepped his usefulness to the United States, then he became enemy number one, right? And so basically invading, what's the nation next door? Kuwait. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
The invasion of Kuwait was a step too far, which he thought he had permission to do. He thought he was granted permission to do such. But the U.S. was like, no, that's too much control for you over oil supplies. And that was a breaking point. But up until that point, the United States firmly supported and helped keep Saddam in power. So when folks tell you that Saddam was in power and he was playing, East versus West, as they like to talk about these different leaders in different places, you have to understand the United States is supporting, and they are the ones who, for most part, are trying to keep these people in these positions to support U.S. policies and military in the regions. And so the fight between Iraq and the Iraqi leader and its people was, as stated earlier by you guys, was their fight to have. If they wanted to overthrow Saddam Hussein and they asked for outside support from forces or whatever like that, that's their fight to have. None of them asked for the United States to invade their country, to bomb it, kill hundreds of thousands of people, and then to stay there for 20 years. And that's why directly after the invasion of Iraq, there was an insurgency on the ground led by Shiites, who were the majority population, to say, we don't want you here. We never asked you to come here. We didn't want you to supply Saddam Hussein in the first place, which allowed him to stay as long as he did. And so that became the basis of the insurgency, not because electricity wasn't on, but because the invaders established military control and dominance over the resources and people and land over Iraq, and wanted to put leadership in there that was Shiite, that would continue that dominance, and people fought back from it. And so the lesson learned is that they're there 20 years later because they're still trying to figure out how to control the Iraqi government to make it bend to the U.S. will, to make it anti-Iran, to make it anti-Palestine, to make it anti-revolutionary radical against radical and revolutionary elements in the region. That's what the United States wants, and why it still remains there, to suck up those resources and to control the governance of that country.
Yep. So, excuse me. Just to share resources for Saturday. Let's see. Click the right thing. That might be good. Yeah. So wherever you are, you can find a ride. The Answer Coalition has organized buses from several major cities along the East Coast. You can click on the link, find a ride. Obviously, Black Alliance for Peace will be there. So I shared that link with you. Hope to see some of y'all Saturday. And like I said, tomorrow we'll have Claudia De La Cruz on to talk more about it.
Are the Fox people invited? Or Max Blooming? Are they coming?
Matt,
I mean, they can
Matt.
show up. They can
Okay.
absolutely, yes, they can absolutely show up. But I'm preparing my comments because I'll be speaking. So I'm gonna say some things, about how you can't talk about you want to end one war without talking about the need to end capitalism, and you can't end capitalism without talking about all the different ways capitalism oppresses specific groups of people in specific ways that are different from the ways that capitalism just oppresses working class white folks. Yeah, so yeah, sure.
Real quick, shout out to everyone that ran us some supports. Thank you all so much. Big up to V, who ran us some great British pounds. We love you, baby. Tina Lulu, thank you so much. Who was that? Latif, who also ran us some bucks. Where'd the rest of the bucks go? Someone else ran us some bucks. I don't know where they went, but thank you all so much for your material support. I'm not going to have to send Kamau.
Alex ran us $20.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you so much.
It said he's actually said Madam won't be able to attend the March 18th rally, but it says let's tear it down though. All right, I like that.
Who ran us some bucks and said it wasn't for Kamau though?
That was V. That was V.
V.
She said, here go $5, but that ain't for Kamau. Don't give Kamau none of that.
V. Don't do that, V. Yeah, we appreciate that short stint of money running. You know what I mean? We need a little longer stint of money running. You know what I'm saying? That's y'all. I don't know how long we're gonna be on the platform. Y'all got to support now. Time is limited.
Kamau's working very hard to get us put off again. So yes, the time is limited. Y'all,
we're about to enter dangerous waters because we're going to talk about elected officials. I put up the story you sent, Jackie, and so according to them, Kim, you sent the story about the Maryland governor. So I just put it up.
What? Let me tell. Okay. The first words that come to mind are Black misleadership. Let's start there. Okay. Now, young Wes has only been governor for a couple of months, and this nigga is making. He is doing all the things to indicate that he is primed for elevation when it comes to moving up that political ladder. So. The headline is this: Maryland governor challenges Glenn Youngkin, who is the Virginia governor, to a basketball game as both states compete for the FBI headquarters. Now, put a period. Let's pause there for a second. As a resident of Prince George's County, Maryland, hold on, let me start from the beginning. Okay, so the FBI headquarters, the J. Edgar Hoover building, which is on, what's that, Jackie? 9th and East Streets, northwest
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, somewhere about there. Yeah.
I mean, you walk by it, you will see demons in the window, right? It's just an evil place. I mean, it's named for a damn devil. I mean, what do you expect? Good shit to come out of the FBI building? I don't think so. So this building is dilapidated, needs updated, whatever the fuck the government says. So they are looking for a new location in the DC, Maryland area to build this multi-billion-dollar campus for the new FBI headquarters. Maryland is competing, Virginia is competing. Virginia has a site that is in proximity to the FBI training headquarters of Quantico, right? So Virginia is like, no, we already got the training headquarters down here. But then here come these fucking black misleadership niggas from Prince George's County, okay? There are 2 sites in PG County that are vying for the new FBI headquarters. Greenbelt, which is close to the Greenbelt Metro Station, and the other one is the former Landover Mall location, which is in proximity to FedEx Field. And our Congressman Glenn Ivey, Governor Westmore, County Executive Angela Also Brooks, all these fucking black politicians are begging the FBI to put this headquarters in black ass Prince George's County, which is wild considering the FBI's reputation historically in trying to disenfranchise and eliminate black political movements. But the argument from the black leaders is that no, this would be proof of equity. Yeah, since the FBI has such a historically horrific record in dealing with the black community, come put your headquarters right in the middle of the black community and prove to us that you understand the value of equity. And it's like, what, niggas? Are you niggas high? So anyway, to show you how high Westmore is, Westmore, former football player, I believe, for Johns Hopkins. And I don't know if Westmore played, but I don't even fucking care. He has challenged Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin to a one-on-one basketball game to prove which state is more deserving of the new FBI headquarters. And this is just a piece of shiny political harmless theater, I suppose, but it shows that Westmore can reach across the aisle. He can be friendly and have a good relationship with a vehement right-wing conservative who is a terrible person, and by all accounts and purposes, Glenn Youngkin is. But I'm like, are you not embarrassed, sir? Do you have no shame? Are you not embarrassed? But all of these black politicians should be embarrassed to be begging the FBI to come put their headquarters in black ass Prince George's County. And shame on Westmore, but we're going to keep an eye on Westmore's goofy ass. And this is just one of the goofy stunts that he has now done early on in his gubernatorialship.
Oh, Lord.
Right.
So
yes.
I think I'm looking at this in the context of this Department of Defense United, what is it called? University Affiliated Research Center. There is this program that the Department of Defense has rolled out, the pilot for on Howard University campus, that is going to be expanded to at least 9 other HBCUs in the region to establish these research centers for the Department of Defense. For, obviously what the Department of Defense exists to do, make war around the world. They're doing this in conjunction with the already existing infiltration. And it's, at this point, it's not even an infiltration. They're embedded representatives of the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, the entire U.S. intelligence spying apparatus on HBCU and other college campuses. This is all a part of that. They, meaning the empire, but the FBI in particular, they are clear that HBCUs are almost like the last frontier of overlooked activism. Especially Howard University used to have a long history of radical student organizing. They are reviving that to some degree. But of course, they don't want that to be revived at all. So they are literally working hand in hand with the Department of Defense to lock down these campuses, to crush any dissent that is about to be brewing, because they see the organizing going on. That, you know, as these material conditions outside of the campuses that affect the families of the students who are on these campuses, they see people pissed off. They see these kids pissed off about these conditions, and they see the organizing about to happen. So this is, to me, it's a concerted effort. This is not this fight over this FBI facility in PG County, where it is near Bowie State University. It's not a coincidence to me. This is, as far as I'm concerned, this is all a part of the empire clamping down on college campuses, on HBCUs, on working class and poor Black communities, putting these facilities in these communities to immediately respond to the uprising that they know is coming. This is not a coincidence at all.
Yeah, I would say that, you know, during this latest round of pushback and fight back and national attention we've gotten over trying to stop Cop City, student groups across the country have been reaching out to us to do teach-ins. The Day of Action, Harvard did a rally and demonstration on the campus, and it looked to be over 100 students. The last thing they want to do is to radicalize the basically the elite, or the folks they're training who come from the elite families, to begin to have radical left politics, or begin to open up and at least start to view things in a different light. And you're right, like you know, we've got invitations from Howard, obviously here in Atlanta, Spelman, Morehouse, and so I agree that the last thing they want is a reemergence of students. Obviously, the larger population too, but the last thing they want is the reemergence of student-based organizing and activism that begins to not only start on campus and deal with campus issues, but move off of campus and start dealing with things that are happening in the larger, not only Black community, but even talking about things around international politics, economics, capitalism. And if we start to see that is starting to bubble up again, and if it can be sustained, you're right, these campuses, these new police foundations, organizations that are being instructive and trying to build these training centers for these police, these militarized training centers, they are all about the suppression of these movements. And so I think partly because of the fracturing of what's been happening in the United States, that we're seeing sort of a counter-offensive from the political, not just the right wing, but the political establishment, which is both the Democrats and Republicans, on how better to control the masses of people here, so there won't be future uprisings that disturb their way of doing business.
Maryland does not have Republican leadership. It only has Democratic leadership, right? I think we have one Republican congressman, but he's not nowhere close to where these proposed sites for the FBI are being suggested. And it's just wild to me to hear someone who I generally like, the county executive, Angela Alsobrooks. I do like her, but I don't like her. I do not like her for this, because they're only framing this argument about why PG County, quote, deserves this FBI headquarters in terms of economic equity, right? They're talking about the economic dollars that obviously the construction of the project would bring, but thousands of jobs, thousands. Yeah, that's exactly what the fuck I want. Thousands of FBI agents on the same roads as everybody else, Black in Prince George's County, but they don't talk about the disproportionate way the FBI and federal law enforcement agencies and local law enforcement agencies are deployed against these communities. And what the hell makes you think that putting the FBI headquarters in the middle of this community would do anything to make any difference in that disproportionate way that Black people and Black communities are policed? And that is bothersome to me. It's not coming, and I don't expect it from them, i.e. Black misleadership, you know, but I just say it. Can somebody say it out loud, please? That we don't need more police. The last thing we need is basically a federal police headquarters in the middle of the Black community. Like, why? Take that shit, Virginia. It's yours. But here come Westmore goofy ass to try to lighten it, to try to soften it. Oh, well, I'll just do a one-on-one basketball. Me and Glenn Youngkin will play one-on-one. Ha 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 ha. So we can bring thousands of more federal agents into one of the blackest areas in the state. It is disgusting. But just to give y'all, we will be on Westmore watch from henceforth, because Wes, he's been tapped. He's a former veteran. He's going to be the one, I'm sure, to declare war on China once he gets into the White House somehow, some way, or gets himself a cabinet position with the next administration if he himself isn't the next administration. Like, this is a dangerous Negro, y'all. And all this little cutesy shit that he's doing, I'm not fooled by any of it. So we're going to keep an eye on that nigga for sure, because I don't like where this is going.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
we do like where something is. We like where the ear doctor's going. And I think he's coming up with another break.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Westmore is.
He just wanted to play a song.
Oh, so apropos.
Oh, man. Damn, I wish I could, handle problems playing basketball, because y'all know I'm nice. Y'all know I'm nice. Y'all seen the videos. Huh?
You look real slow in that video. Let me just tell you that.
It was a slow motion. Some of the songs.
I thought it was a slow motion. I thought the whole video was slow motion. Regular speed here. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna take a real quick break because y'all are spitting that heat right about now. So let's go take a quick break and come right back at you on the Remix Morning Show. All right, let's go ahead and do one more spotlight before we do. Hit that like button, subscribe button, and all them other buttons down there. With that said, let's do a quick spotlight on no other than... That's right, we're talking about Eddie Grant. We're gonna take out to Electric Avenue, also known as Edmund Montague Grant. Straight Guyanese British singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. That's right. He pretty much blended a lot of different genres of sound when you're talking about reggae rock, pop, electric pop, funk, disco, soul, calypso. I mean, he even is known for being a pioneer of a genre called ring bang. This is like a mixture of Caribbean fusion and different genres like that. But we're talking Latin music, polyrhythm. Man, he's done it all when you talk about mixing music together. He's a founding member of a band called The Equals, which is one of United Kingdom's first racially mixed pop groups, who are best remembered for their big song that actually Grant wrote called Baby Come Back. His solo career started in 1982. He came out with I Don't Want to Dance in Electric Avenue. He got this actually got platinum for that Electric Avenue, which you're hearing right now. Came out in 1983. His biggest hit. He also got a Grammy Award nomination for that song, and he is well known for his apartheid song back in 1988 called Gimme Hope Joanna. So big that actually this song was banned by the South African government. They was like, nah, bro, you can't be talking all that stuff we don't want to hear. So he got to perform at Nelson Mandela's 90th birthday party. It was a concert, and he tore it down. He also sued former President Donald Trump and his administration over the use of his song Electric Avenue in his 2020 advertisement. So your man been doing big things, you know. He has over like 12 albums, so go check him out if you can. And big up to that brother. He did it up big in Barbados too, and connected with a bunch of other artists. So big up to no other than Eddie Grant, because we're gonna move down to Electric Avenue. Yeah. All right. With that said, let's go ahead and get back to the Remix Morning Crew. You know how we do. All right. Yeah. That 80s sound, boy.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't miss it.
What?
I like it. I like it.
You don't like Electric Avenue?
I mean, no. No.
Well, I don't like Electric Avenue. I didn't like that. But I
What?
mean, because
I love Electric Avenue.
That was
I
a
mean, but it
joint.
sounds like a reggae song made for white folks. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I was not a big synthesizer fan. I just too much synthesizers for me. No.
Down
More
in the
cowbell,
streets
more
on the
cowbell.
playground. You ain't lying. It did
on,
sound
man.
like it's a reggae song for white people.
You gotta
That's
enunciate
actually
more.
pretty
Let's
good.
enunciate. Let's enunciate these
Exactly.
words more for the white folks to try to understand.
Exactly it, Kamau. That's exactly it. It's very
And
well
shout
enunciated.
them.
It is not given in the dance hall cadence. You know what I'm saying? Like, no. Yeah.
We're gonna go down to Electric Avenue. It was mad
It's still a
robotic. You
good
ain't
song.
lying.
It's still a
Hey,
good
listen, don't believe me. When next time you do a white party, drop that joint and
Oh, I
watch.
already know. I already know. They gonna run to the floor like I was at a black party playing Baby. Back that thing up.
Shoot. That
Word.
and what was it? Cool in the Gang. Celebrate. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Oh Lord. Woo.
What are the songs that, when they're playing, you need to maybe exit the situation because the whites are about to get rowdy? I say it's a Seven Nation Army that, like anytime I'm saying it, when the white boy starts singing that shit in unison, it's time to leave.
Yep.
Y'all. It's time to go.
Where's my coat?
Hey, Sweet Caroline.
Oh,
Oh, that's a different kind of party though. When they
Oh,
play
yeah.
Sweet
Yeah,
Caroline.
that's a fun one though.
That's a
is
fun
it?
one.
Is it?
I mean,
I
when
don't
you
know.
talking about them turning up, man, yeah, they turn
In
up to that.
unison, Sweet Caroline.
Yes, and Journey. We can't forget
Any
Journey.
Oh,
Journey,
Little Journey.
Don't
Or any
Stop
what's that
Believing.
the dude,
Lord
that
have
Jersey
mercy.
dude that they love?
Oh,
Bon
Billy Joel.
Jovi.
Oh, Billy,
Yeah.
Bruce
Bon
Springsteen.
Jovi.
They love
Bruce Springsteen.
Springsteen.
Living on
Yeah,
a
but
Prayer.
yeah.
Mhm.
Living
Oh,
on a
yeah.
Prayer. Yo, when you hear
Yeah.
living, that's when it's like get your
Yep.
coats.
That's right.
Mhm.
It is. It's my bedtime. It's
Hey, and Cotton Eye Joe is another one that they love to
Oh,
hear.
bye. Now I'm
Yes.
triggered. Now I'm triggered.
Your chicken just
I'm so triggered by Cotton Eye Joe. Like the whites at my high school,
Yeah.
they used to
I
play
got all
that.
the
They used
music.
to play Cotton Eye Joe, and they used to play John Denver's "Thank God I'm a Country Boy." I'm like, nigga, we are in
Yes.
Columbia. Can y'all please cut it out? I know y'all have redneck aspirations or redneck roots. It's something very strange about upper middle class whites who really gravitate towards like the kind of country, the country music. I'm like, y'all are not rednecks. Y'all want to be rednecks, but y'all not rednecks. Can y'all please turn this John Denver fucking shit off at the
like it's in
basketball
our
game?
blood. It's in our
Please.
blood.
Listen.
Well, that's the Born in the USA was actually a protest song, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
But
yes.
they couldn't hear it. All they heard was "Born."
He got him.
Yeah,
Got
That's all they
him.
cared about.
They pull that little American flag out of their back pocket that they must have,
Mhm.
and it's yeah.
Oh,
In fact,
definitely.
I think Reagan tried to use the song. Reagan or Bush tried to use the song, and Springsteen had to go back and be like, "Yo, don't use my song." The same thing. He's like, "Yeah, don't use my song, B.
Use my
I'm
shit.
not. I'm not repping that. I'm not repping that."
Yeah, you're right. Sweet Home Alabama is another one.
Yeah.
And
That's when
also,
you need to leave the state. Just get out.
Time
Just
to
get
go.
oh yeah. That and I've been tangling my roots. Oh, Friends in Low Places.
Oh, well,
yeah.
wait a minute. Now, hold on. Now,
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Oh,
Let
Oh,
me-
that's a
But
joint.
you like Friends in Low Places? You like
came
that?
down Kim Street. Wait a minute.
a case can be made for friends in low places
Oh, let me find out.
because
Let me find out.
I appreciate Garth Brooks, who, obviously from the lower class of whatever event he's about to go in and crash to tell his ex that he has friends in low. I have a little affection for friends in low places. I've sang that karaoke drunk with my white friends a couple times. Yes.
Hey, I like Chris Staples. He killed that Tennessee whiskey.
Blame it all on my roots.
Sing it.
I showed up in boots
Hey.
and ruined your black tie affair. Oh, come on,
Okay.
Garth.
Ah,
All
get
right
it.
now.
Oh, I know it,
Okay.
Gar. I know it.
Let me
Okay.
find out. Word. So that is your musical.
You come out.
He's like, who are you?
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry, Kim. It's you got a musical antenna. You hit all different songs anyway.
Yeah.
Hey, and big up to Dr. Jared Ball. I know there was a country song that Jared picked up out there in Howard County in his youth that he probably has a little bit of an affection for. Maybe we'll ask him about that next week when he returns. So,
Yeah.
All right. So that is what it is. I will catch y'all tomorrow at 8. a.m. on the Remix
Where
Morning
you
Show, but we are not done.
go?
We're not done.
I say, where
Oh,
you
so what are you
going?
saying that for like that?
Whoa, huh?
Like you're not coming back?
What's going?
When? Today?
Ain't you coming back again? Well, wait a minute.
Nah.
What's our goal? Is it
We ain't hit 300.
275?
No, we ain't hit
It's 300
300.
now?
Hold
Yeah.
on. When did we raise that to 300? I thought it was 275.
I thought it was
When-
275.
See, that's slick, dude. See, you see.
I feel like we was on a three-way conversation. He just hung up.
No,
That's
yes. Yeah, you're right.
precisely what happened.
That's exactly what
Precisely
happened. All right, so if we can get 24 new listeners by the time we're done, then we might get a mix. Otherwise, no mix for today. Although we've had great listenership, viewership, appreciate a little bit of the cash that's been raining down. This is the Remix Morning Show.
Ooh,
What happened?
I appreciate the music recommendations because I love the Barkays 70s funk. I love the Barkays.
You
to hear that
interrupted
they dropped-
my radio hosting duties
Huh?
to talk about the Barkays.
Yes.
I was just about to do that. We're here with Jackie, Luke Bond,
All
and
right,
Bernadette.
do it. Okay, go
No,
ahead.
it's too late now. I feel, you know, I know I'm not as good as Kim when she does it. I know, but
rhythm
I
was
was giving her the
interrupted.
shot there.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
What
I
about the
didn't mean to-
Barclays that you like so much?
So
besides those
I
albums,
just
the
love
albums
them.
were-
And Kari says that they have dropped a better version of Tennessee whiskey featuring Wendy Moten. Oh my God. I have to have that. I gotta listen to that. Yeah. Okay. That's all. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So let's end on one last news story. And again, we have to be careful because we're going to talk a little bit about. I just think this is a fun news story to end on because now the elections are starting to come up.
Allegedly.
And allegedly the elections are starting. The allegedly fair and free elections are starting to come up, and so everybody's starting to attack each other to decide who's going to be the leader to run the empire. Trump, as folks know, is trying to come back. He's running, and DeSantis, the governor of Florida, is considered the most likely challenger who has a shot at dethroning Trump. And so Trump is now taking it upon himself, of course, to start the back and forth. Trump lashes out at DeSantis, says he regrets his endorsement of him. And so Donald Trump was on the campaign trail, and DeSantis, I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, used to be his boy. Former President Donald Trump is intensifying his attacks on Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, calling him disloyal and saying that his political career would have been over had he not endorsed his ultimately successful 2018 campaign. Oh, Trump, in quotes, he says he was dead as a dog. He was a dead politician. He would have been working perhaps for a law firm or doing something else. Trump told a small group of reporters aboard his plane on Monday afternoon en route to Iowa, where he was making an appearance that evening. Asked if he regretted endorsing DeSantis for governor in 2018, Trump responded, "Yeah, maybe. This guy was dead. He was dead as a doornail. I might say that." Trump spent nearly 10 minutes going after DeSantis, who is widely viewed as his most formidable challenger for the Republican nomination of Florida governor, who's expected to launch his campaign following the end of the state's legislative session in May, has been embarking on a swing of early primary states to promote his newly released memoir, including in Iowa, where he appeared on Friday. And so I'll wrap it up with one more quote. Trump contended that DeSantis pleaded with him for an endorsement during his first run for governor when polls showed him trailing his primary challenger. "I said, you are so dead right now. You are not going. No endorsement is going to save you. George Washington won't save you," he said. "I'm telling you, if you endorse me, I have a chance," Trump said. And so he did then endorse. Let me see if there's one more quote. I love the Trump quotes. So that's it. Yeah. You say you don't?
No, I do. I mean, again, Trump is a buffoonish tyrant. Yeah, all that. But when he lets the chopper sing on his same party opponents, hilarity ensues. Again, I'm looking forward to the Republican presidential debates because Trump is going to play the dozens on some niggas again. They're not going to know how to react.
Yeah, the race for the Republican nomination it's already interesting. And honestly, Trump wins the nomination. For DeSantis to win the nomination for the Republican Party, the Republican National Convention would have to pull, this is wild. The Republican National Convention would have to pull some Democratic National Convention, Debbie Wasserman Schultz kind of bullshit to keep DeSantis to keep Trump from winning the nomination outright. That's just I
But it feels like I think you're probably right, because you remember in 2000 when Trump originally ran, no one thought he had a chance. He was like, he just would not go away. The Republican establishment was at first ignoring him. The media covered him, but every time he would say something, they kept expecting that he would make some outlandish statement, and then therefore the expectation was the polls were going to drop and he would have to drop out because he would have to apologize, and it was so outrageous. But every outrageous thing he said just increased his likability for that right wing, that working class and poor white base who was like, "Go get him, Trump." So all of that kind of just kept leading to him getting higher and higher and higher in the polls. And then it became like they were like themselves shocked and did what they always did. They stood behind him and they were like, okay, I guess this dude just got a chance. And again, the same thing was the national election. People did not expect, up until all the polls kept showing that Hillary Clinton was so far ahead or winning. And I still remember like watching that. I was involved in some other campaign stuff. And then you were at a bar and folks were celebrating because locally we'd won something that kept all the schools in Georgia from going private or being charter schools or whatever. And, as folks kept watching the map, and again, no big fan of Hillary, but it was an expectation that of the folks we were going to get, this was the one who was going to win, not just some outrageous, overt white supremacist. And state after state after state, you're like, what the hell? What the hell? Are they this crazy? They are this crazy, aren't they? They are this crazy.
Yes, they are. Well, that's what I'm saying. But DeSantis is crazy too. He's just got a different brand of crazy than Trump. He's obviously a little bit more polished, but I'm telling you, his end wokeism platform, that shit is sexy to the right. Like the right don't want to be quote unquote woke. That's nigga speak. and DeSantis is firmly anti-nigga and anti-gay, anti-trans. He's all the things that I don't think Trump, not to say that he's not those things, but I don't know if he's going to come out as vehemently against, trans equity and all that stuff as DeSantis has. I mean, DeSantis has his policies behind him as proof of his bona fides. But I think DeSantis is obviously the most dangerous one, like even more so than Trump, actually. But I still think DeSantis is going to be the winner because I think that the white Republican far right establishment, including Fox News, they are intentionally moving far away from Donald Trump, and just based off the support that they've already thrown behind DeSantis, I mean, he's just going to get the manufacturing consent sort of, boost, I think, from the right wing media, because Trump is isolated or trying to isolate himself. And who's even going to be on his ticket? Like, who's going to run with Donald Trump? With Mike Pence trying to make his own presidential, foray as well.
Yeah. Mike Pence is not going to be anybody's anything for the Republican Party. Mike Pence, no. The only reason he was vice president was because the Republican establishment told Trump that he had to nominate Pence for vice president, because Mike Pence doesn't have the personality to win an election for dog catcher in his hometown. That's just never going to happen. At the recent CPAC, Conservative Political Action Convention, Trump won the straw poll overwhelmingly for president. DeSantis came in a distant second for vice president. So when I'm looking at just the regular rank and file, and these are the members of the dues paying financial backers of the Republican Party, the members of CPAC. You know, when I look at the way they vote, they are squarely still Trump supporters, and I think that translates into the Republican voters. I think that they really see the ongoing legal action against Trump as, you know, an ongoing Democratic witch hunt.
Mhm.
You know, so I don't see any evidence that DeSantis can actually, all things being what they are in Republican National Convention voting, if nobody's thumb is on the scale, I don't see any. And if Trump actually puts his name in the ring for the nomination, I have a hard time seeing him not winning the nomination, even against DeSantis.
And
I
Trump
think
last
that
time had he won a record, even if he lost, he won a record amount of votes for Republican nominee, even though he did lose. I had like 60 million or something like that. So it wasn't, again, the predictions in the media was that he was and that it was going to be a landslide for Biden. And then it became a closer race than what they expected because he held on to his base. But I agree. I mean, Kim, I'll let you finish it off. But I keep thinking too that the Republican establishment is more interested in a polished crazy than they are in sort of a lunatic sounding crazy, even if the results are relatively speaking the same. But I agree, like Trump's got a base outside of Florida. He's got a base across the country. DeSantis, who's trying to get his name known, is not as well known across the country. Of course, there's time to do that and build that up. But Trump has potentially a solid base.
yeah. No, I mean, DeSantis being a Southern governor, I think works tremendously to his advantage. If he can deliver Florida for the presidential ticket, I mean, that's a huge bonus. You know, Florida's big electoral state, and you know, Florida can be a game changer if you know, depending on which campaign actually manages to secure Florida. But again, I just think it's all the policies, everything that he has codified into law or attempted to in Florida is the policy red meat that the Republicans, the GOP, the right-wing base is going to gravitate to. I mean, Trump absolutely has the rhetoric, but when it comes to his policies, you know, overall his policies benefited the upper classes, not so much working class people. And I know Republicans don't factor that into when they're casting their votes. They vote along the cultural war lines, and that's where I think DeSantis has the advantage.
I don't know.
So-
I'm definitely.
Jackie, let's put something down on it. Let's put a sack weed on it or something.
Oh, I don't know. I gotta watch this play out over the next couple of months, and then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable putting something down on it, because I can't call these people. They're crazy. They're nuts. I can't. Who knows? I'm just here for the name calling and the dozens playing at the debate. So I'm with you on that one, Kim.
We got to help Trump come up with some names for DeSantis. We should tweet him. We're going to help Trump play the dozens with DeSantis. Take this nigga down. What did they used to call it, y'all? Jonin? Did they say Jonin where you were, Jackie?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like yeah. To dozens. What was the other thing we used to say, yo? Ranking.
Ooh, that's some New York
Ranking
shit.
On people. Yeah.
New York shit.
Yeah.
Joning. That's what we did in the country. We joned on each other. I don't know what y'all did in New York.
We were ranking on each other. You know what I'm saying?
And cracking on each other.
Cracking on each other, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. No, they you know, it's the buffoonery versus someone who's trying to suggest that they are a establishment, but right wing. They know how to govern type of figure. And yeah, I mean, if he can't get in the mud with Trump, then he probably will lose, because Trump will, if you try to act like you above it all, like you too good for it, then you definitely gonna lose, because they want this dude. He wants to get in the mud, and if you can show you can get in the mud with him, then you might peel off some folks. I feel like that. I think that's where it's at with them. It's like, oh, you called me this. If you call him, say something back at him, talk about his hair, I mean, I don't know why
Not
folks don't
even
go roasting on Trump. He's so easy to roast.
But Trump will go after niggas' wives. Like, do you see how ugly your wife is? He said that to Ted Cruz or something along those lines. Like, Trump don't, he had no cut cards, dog. None.
Yeah, and they act all shocked as opposed to like my wife. You about those 12 wives that you had. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what?
Right. Easy comebacks, right?
On that note, we've reached the end of our show. Yeah, doctor, you're not gonna come back on screen. Don't he usually come back on screen during this time? Or do we just say goodbye? Just come back on screen.
Thank y'all for tuning in to another Remix Morning Show. Remixes. Thank
go.
y'all. Thank y'all. We will be back here tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with some more of that Eastern Standard Time right here for you and yours. And we are out of here. Remix Morning Show. Peace.